following is an exclusive presentation of Ravens Productions.
Coming up on this week's edition of Ravens Report, the playoffs are here. We look back at how the Ravens got here. Plus, we preview this week's game against the Titans with head coach John Harbaugh and cornerback Marlon Humphrey. All of that and more on this week's Ravens Report.
15-10-5, touchdown Ravens. They are dancing in the aisles. Oh, what a scene we have at M&T.
Ravens on three, 1, 2, 3.
Welcome to this week's edition of Ravens Report. From the Under Armour Performance Center, I'm Erin Hawksworth. The playoffs are here. The Ravens will face the Tennessee Titans on Saturday night at M&T Bank Stadium, and it'll be an old-school AFC playoff game in Baltimore. The Ravens won a franchise record 12 straight games to end the season, having a blast along the way. But it wasn't always easy. They had to overcome some early season adversity. Before we preview this week's playoff matchup against the Titans, let's look back at the Ravens' thrilling ride to the top spot in the AFC.
The Ravens are in the playoffs as the top seed for the first time in franchise history.
We would have been together, right? But we won together. And he's going to
score!
There are a lot of skeptics around the league about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens offense.
Time to prove them wrong. We all we got on three. 1, 2, 3. We all we got.
Action Jackson, we ready for it, baby.
It's a new season, a new era. Catch him, touchdown, Ravens.
No, little boy, big boy.
Keeps it downfield, it's intercepted at the 40-yard line.
Jackson has no shot of playing quarterback in the NFL.
Not bad for a running back.
This is it. This is the start. For Ravens fans who've been waiting, this is the moment. Touchdown, Ravens!
I flip that switch every Sunday.
Lamar Jackson in the shotgun. Cardinals rush 5. Jackson throws deep, far sideline. By Hollywood Brown.
Every single play, we fight. That's exactly why you stay in this league, is you fight.
I'm so proud of you, man. That's a big time play. We pissed right now. No one hit. I never heard nobody like Luke.
Touchdown on an 88-yard run.
Cleveland will be in first place, and Baltimore will be in second place.
The Ravens know 3 straight losses would unhinge this season.
You gotta fight for everything you want in life.
Throws it intercepted. Josh Bynes with the interception, knocked down. Loose ball at the 40-yard line, still in play, and the Ravens recover it. It was Marlon Humphrey. Snap is good. Kick on the way. It is long enough, and it is good. Justin Tucker with the winner, and the Ravens have won it in Pittsburgh in overtime.
Do your job.
Let's play for each other today. What's that? Yeah, okay, good. Do it that way.
Ingram stretching forward. Touchdown, Mark Ingram.
Oh, big boy, no little boy.
Marlon Humphrey with a pick.
Let's keep building together, bro.
Chance for the Ravens to find out who they really are.
Let's show up and show out. It's that simple, baby.
Touchdown, Ravens, and welcome to the Ravens secondary, Marcus Peters.
Y'all know him as Marcus, we know him as Juice Man.
Yo, coach, let's go for it. Let's go for it. Let's go.
Runs to the right, he's got a seam, he's to the 5.
Go, score. Find a way.
He's in, touchdown, Lamar Jackson. Marlon Humphrey scoops it up and takes it into the end zone for a touchdown. A potential battle for the ages tonight.
Nothing needs to be said. Patriots come into our house, we fight.
Touchdown, Ravens! Marlon Humphrey.
But on that stage, a night game Sunday night against that team.
Jackson wants to throw, fires back to the left. He's got Nick Boyle. Boyle turns a corner, and he's in for his first NFL touchdown. Nick Boyle finally finds the end zone.
Been waiting all day. Been waiting all day.
Yes! Yeah!
This is best performance thus far.
It was.
This ain't no letdown, baby. Everybody up.
Pick 6 for Marcus Peters.
Jackson takes it himself.
Touchdown! Now he's going to be drilled and sacked.
We're in a Ravens world right now.
Touchdown Ravens! And the party is on in Baltimore.
Big trust. Woo, woo.
I'm taking the Baltimore Ravens. They're the best team in the NFL.
With their 4th touchdown of the opening half.
We got something special going on. Keep it up.
Let's take over the league today.
Garoppolo hit and sacked.
1, 2, 3.
We got to earn it. We got to fight for it. Ain't nothing given. Everything earned.
Snap is good. Kick on the way. It is long enough. And the kick is good. And the Ravens take down the 49ers.
Another opportunity, right?
First to the 10, 5, touchdown Ravens. Pass over the middle. It is incomplete. No flag on the play. Marcus Peters with the play.
Who got it better than us?
Nobody! Touchdown, Hollywood Brown! And with the win, they have captured the AFC North Division crown for a 2nd year in a row.
Hey, that's 2-minute precision, boy. That's 2-minute precision, boy. Best, hey, that's why you're the best doing it.
The best regular season football team in the National Football League this year. We'll take that, right?
MVP favorite Lamar Jackson accounted for 43 touchdowns this season as the Ravens offense set numerous franchise records. That's some big trust right there. Still to come on Ravens Report. He made the Pro Bowl this season and locked down the game's top wide receivers. We preview this week's matchup with cornerback Marlon Humphrey next. Welcome back to Ravens Report, presented by MedStar Health. I'm Erin Hawksworth. Cornerback Marlon Humphrey had an outstanding 2019 campaign. In addition to locking down the game's top receivers, Marlon was one of only 2 players in the NFL to have 3 interceptions and 3 forced fumbles this season. He was named to his first Pro Bowl and last week was recognized as a first-team All-Pro. As the team prepares for this week's game against the Titans, Marlon Humphrey sits down with Evan Washburn.
Touchdown Ravens! Marlon Humphrey, Mr. Instant Score, strikes again. Deflected and intercepted. Marlon Humphrey with a pick.
Well, Marlon, thanks for doing this. Welcome to the 2020 season. 2019 was pretty successful, but I know this is obviously the time of year where you guys take this to another level. The bye week and what you guys wanted to accomplish heading into this divisional round. Do you feel like you did, and what were the priorities?
I think we accomplished some good things. I think, we came in and got better throughout the week. Didn't really have a team to prepare for, but, preparing against ourselves was really good. And, a lot of guys needed some rest. So, getting 3 days of work, getting about 3 days of rest was really good for the team.
Well, there's no better offense at this point to go against as a defender probably than your own. And it's probably been a little while that you've done it, probably going back to training camp, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was. So, that our offense, I think, is leading the league in points. So it was really good to go against our team. And, when it came to, tackling Lamar, guys we just ran past them, didn't even try to break down for that. So it was really funny to see, we forget, how the stuff he does watching them. We're fortunate we don't have to, go against them.
Do you have any sympathy for defenders? And as you've seen over the course of now 16 games, some of these really talented players get embarrassed, and then it just becomes an indelible image or video that lives on.
Yeah, I don't really have much sympathy, but I definitely can be in their shoes a little bit just from seeing what Lamar does. And even myself, I'm like, I would have made that tackle. But in reality, you're like, I don't know if I'd have made that tackle. So I feel what they're going through, but I'm just happy it's happening to them and not us.
Well, you've shown over the course of this season that tackling, on top of everything you've done, has been a strength. And that's why you were an All-Pro, a Pro Bowler. Those are important accolades when you look back on your career. I know it's not your focus right now, but what do you think was the difference this year in gaining that type of recognition from the outside?
I said this earlier before the year started, I really feel really comfortable around this building. My teammates, I've already made more friends on this team, really close friends, than I have in college and high school altogether. So I just felt like really comfortable around the team and, my coaches. And I think the biggest thing last offseason, watching all 8 Pro Bowl corners from last year, watching all their targets and a lot of different things I took from their games and I tried to put it into mine. And that was a big focus for me this year to, I felt like if I could be a Pro Bowl corner, we could have the best shot of, going to the playoffs and winning the Super Bowl. So we're in the playoffs, so now we just got to take it one game at a time.
Absolutely. And we saw at, I guess, the midpoint of the season, Marcus Peters joined this team and things just trended in such a positive direction as a whole. The organization decides to extend him. I know you guys are happy for him. But for you specifically, how do you view the possibility that this is a running mate that you're going to have for a number of years?
I love it. I love what Marcus brings to the table. First game he comes in, the Seahawks, pick 6, and it's kind of been pretty smooth from there. I think he's, sometimes gets a bad rep, maybe throughout the media and everything, but he's the best teammate you could have. I remember when he first got traded, Eric Weddle told me, you'll love him as a teammate. And since he's been here, I've really loved him as a teammate, off the field and on the field.
All right, let's dive into this challenge that comes Saturday night to M&T Bank Stadium in the Tennessee Titans. You could argue the hottest team in the league right now, only because you guys took a week off. Where do you view the priorities when you look at trying to stop an offense that's shown some pretty good balance?
Biggest thing I think first comes to is Derrick Henry. He's been, he's going to run the ball. If he gets going, he really can't be stopped. Honestly, I think we got to slow him down with the guys up front, and then if he slips through the cracks, the secondary's got to be right there to finish him off. And their passing game isn't too shabby too. They really, if they can run the ball, they'll run it all day. But when they have to pass, they got Corey Davis and rookie, probably might be rookie of the year, A.J. Brown. So they kind of got weapons all over. But I think it first starts with stopping the run and then take care of the pass after.
Lastly, in what ways is this team, or more specific to you as a player, different going into a playoff game the second time around as a young player in this league?
I think the biggest thing is maybe, we all have, the end goal in mind, but we know we got to take it one game at a time. I think, whether the game, gets bad early or whatever, or goes good, I think we're a really resilient team and, we don't panic too much. I think that's one of the biggest things I've seen this year, different games here and there, there's been really no panic. And that's one of the things Wink always says, one thing I owe you is my composure. And so we know we got a defensive coordinator that's not gonna, freak out too much and just, let us play. And even if we're all freaking out the field, he knows how to calm us down and get us going. So I think those are big keys to have for Super Bowl formula.
Thanks for the time, Marlon. Good luck to the second season.
I appreciate it.
Marlin and fellow cornerback Marcus Peters led the Ravens secondary with 3 interceptions each and should form one of the league's top tandems for years to come. Coming up next on Ravens Report, the Ravens and the Titans have had their share of physical playoff matchups. We travel back in history to look at a few of the classics next. Welcome back to Ravens Report, presented by MedStar Health. I'm Erin Hawksworth. The Ravens and the Titans have met in the postseason 3 times, including 2008, when the 6-seeded Ravens knocked off the top-seeded Titans in Nashville. It's an old-school rivalry that goes back to the old AFC Central Division. And before the Ravens-Steelers rivalry became one of the best in the NFL, the Ravens' first rival was the Titans. Garrett Downing looks back at the history of these 2 AFC teams.
We now know who the Ravens will face in the divisional round of the playoffs. The Tennessee Titans will come to town after taking down the defending Super Bowl champion New England Patriots over the weekend. We're in store for a great game Saturday night. This has all the makings of an old-school physical game that defined the early days of this franchise. Now, young fans may not remember this, but the Titans were the Ravens' original rival.
It's picked off. Ray Lewis has the ball. He's on the 40, 30, could go all the way. 10-5, touchdown, Ray Lewis. And Ray Lewis, the defensive player of the year in the NFL, may have sealed the deal for the Ravens.
Not the Steelers, not the Patriots, but it was the Titans. And I'm telling you, these 2 teams did not like each other one bit. And this year's Titans team has some similarities to those teams from the late 90s, early 2000s. Derrick Henry is a big, bruising running back that powers their offense, just like Eddie George was back in the day. And if the Ravens are going to win this game, their first order of business is certainly finding a way to stop Derrick Henry in that running game. Now, these teams have met 3 times in the postseason in their history, and the Ravens have won 2 of them. They beat the Titans in 2000 and then again in 2008. And that game during the 2000 season featured the iconic play. You know what I'm talking about. Ray Lewis ripping the ball out of Eddie's hands to return it for a touchdown. The Ravens, of course, went on to win the Super Bowl that season, and the Ravens fans are hoping for a similar ending this year. In 2008, the Ravens won a tough, low-scoring, grinded-out game. And the one thing that we know for sure this time around is that once again, it's going to be hard-nosed, it's going to be physical, and that's the kind of football we're used to seeing here in Baltimore.
This year's version of Ravens-Titans is sure to be another classic. The Ravens will rely on the flock Saturday night to make life difficult for Ryan Tannehill in the Titans offense. Coming up next on Ravens Report, the Titans travel to Baltimore, bringing with them the NFL's leading rusher. Head coach John Harbaugh talks about the challenge of slowing down Derrick Henry next.
We tried to tell you. We tried to tell you the Ravens were coming. But you didn't listen. You laughed. Who's laughing now?
The Ravens are in the playoffs as the top seed.
We've made history in these streets. Changed the game in these streets. But all of this means nothing if our journey ends here. In this city, we've got bigger dreams. And if you're not from here, be prepared, because your eyes will betray you. So spread the word. The revolution is here and spilled into the streets with a deafening madness. They don't know what's coming. Let them never forget. We will defend what's ours.
Welcome back to Ravens Report. From the Under Armour Performance Center, I'm Erin Hawksworth. The Titans travel to Baltimore following a huge win last week in New England. Featuring a dominant running game, the Titans are surging at just the right time. But the Ravens have experience on their side, as many players were on last year's playoff team. Plus, this year marks John Harbaugh's 8th playoff appearance in 12 years. As the Ravens prepare to clash against the Titans, Garrett Downing sits down with head coach John Harbaugh.
Well, Coach, thanks so much for the time. Let's start with the big topic this week, which is how can I get one of these hoodies? I mean, every guy in this team seems to have their own clothing line.
They do. We had fun with this because, this showed up in my locker the other day, and I wore it today, and the guys were kind of fired up about it. I told them, I said, I don't wear tie-dye often, but when I do, I rock it.
You do.
And the guys loved it. I heard you have a tie-dye sports coat.
I wish I had one. I need to get that. For the interview next week, I'll wear the tie-dye sports coat.
There you go.
We'll work on that. So in all honesty, you get a bye week. I'm curious what you were able to accomplish during that bye week, leading up to this game.
Well, I mean, a lot of things. It's a chance to rest and recover. It's a chance to practice and try to get better. We did both of those two things. What impact it'll have in the game, who can say? We're just trying to be the best football team we can be Saturday night to play the best team we've played so far this year, which is the Tennessee Titans. So we have great respect for them, and we know what's at stake, and we're going to try to put our best foot forward.
You have a young team, but you have a team that has playoff experience, whether it's from last year or through previous times in their career. How does that experience make a difference when you get to the postseason?
Well, I mean, I think guys have been there before. Lamar talked about that. Some of the rookies talked about that. Just haven't been in a playoff game. And I think understanding the finality of it if you don't win, that's the toughest part of it. That's the most disappointing thing. And until you've been through that and you live that, you really don't understand it. Even as a coach, you lose your first playoff game as a coach, you're like, whoa, that's it. Mm-hmm. And you want to try to avoid that.
I think every week you could point to stopping the run as a priority on defense. Does it take on even greater significance when you face the NFL's leading rusher and a guy who's having the kind of season he is?
Oh, tremendously significant. And hey, I mean, we've got to be all hands on deck to stop the run. This is a great running back. It's a great offensive line. Quarterback can run, but not just that. I mean, they've got heck of a weapons outside too. Tannehill gets him the ball. He runs around. They have a lot of movement passes and play action passes that can get deep on you. So it's just it's a well-rounded offense that we've got to be at our best to stop.
When you go up against a coach who you know so well, obviously you spent a ton of time with Dean and he was here for a long time, Does that at all affect preparation because you know him and he knows you and you know that he knows you and all that?
He knows that we know that we know that he knows.
Exactly.
You know, I think you know everybody to some degree. You know, pretty much the whole league. It's a small world. We know each other X and O wise. We might not know people personally, but we know everybody X and O wise really well. I think it's the same for any coach. You know, Dean we also know personally. Dean's a good friend of most of ours, and we love him and respect him, and it's one of the great things about being in the NFL.
Lastly, Coach, home game, home playoff game, night game. Can you talk about the expectations for that atmosphere?
Yeah, it'll be great. It'll be electric. You'll be able to cut it with a knife. Baltimore fans are the best fans in the world. That stadium at night is unbelievable. I think our people in the last couple of years, led by Dick Cass and the whole organization, what they've done to build that stadium into something that is just an electric, exciting place to be, along with our team. You know, that's really what it's all about. So you're looking forward to that. This is what you work hard for. I think this is what the fans are fans for times like this.
I'm like goosebumps.
Yeah.
I'm fired up. I can't wait. Coach, thanks so much for the time.
I get it.
So the first order of business Saturday night for the Ravens will be to slow down Derrick Henry. The Titans have the third-ranked rushing attack in the NFL. But of course, the Ravens have the top rushing offense led by Lamar Jackson. Lamar and company became the first offense in NFL history to average over 200 yards rushing and 200 yards passing per game in a season. And they'll go up against a familiar face trying to slow the offense down. The Titans defense is led by former Ravens defensive coordinator Dean Pease. One thing's for sure, M&T Bank Stadium will be rocking Saturday night. That's it for this week's show. Thank you so much for watching. And for the latest playoff news, be sure to follow us on social media for all things Ravens. We'll see you next week on Ravens Report.